Morning, everyone. This video deals with advanced files. This is my second time doing this video because I just finished it, about a minute and a half ago, and I looked up and I had my microphone turned off. It's always fun doing something twice. All right, advanced files deals with binary files. What we did up till now is write out basically .txt files, and write them out. Right, everything we wrote out was characters. Now we're going to be dealing with binary. Binary is more efficient. It's faster. You're going to see as we get further into it that there's some shortcuts where you can do 4 lines of code in one, and you'll find out that it's space saver. It uses less memory to write out in binary. All right, this file first, I want to do a quick go over what we've done up till now. I've got a regular write file, just like we've done in the past, iostream, fstream, using namespace. I made my fstream, I called it fout. I made an unsigned short num1 and assigned it the value of 62,349. All right, unsigned just means it's positive. You don't, it doesn't, you can't have a negative unsigned. Short just means it's not real long. All right. And I'm going to call it num1. All right. Before I do my fout line, I'm going to try to get a pattern of doing this. Always do the if else. When I sit down to write a file, to read a file or write out to a file, I always do if, and then fout or whatever I've named my fstream, my OF stream. All right, whatever I've named it, I do an if, and then I put down my brackets, my 2 curly brackets, and then I put an else cout error. You could put something elaborate here, but it really doesn't matter. All right, so I did that, but let's talk about this my open statement. Fout dot open. Here's my path. CIS 114 numbers.dat. All right, and just like we did in the past, I'm just going to open it up iOS out. And then I'm going to output 62,349. When I output that, the computer doesn't see that as 62,349. It sees that as 5 separate characters. It just sees that as 62349. And it's going to take up 5 bytes of data to do that. All right, it's a byte for each character. So let me run this real quick. It's done. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between the files. I would strongly suggest you don't plan on multitasking, like watching a TV show while you're letting this run just to get it done. I'd suggest that you actually give this its attention. It's only going to take about 10 to 12 minutes. I know that because I've done it twice. This is the second time I've done it. All right, I go to number, open it up, and there it is, 62,349. When you're dealing with files, you can also check the properties of it. If you hover over in your file manager and you right click, okay, and go to properties, you can see this is this takes up 5 bytes of data, 1 byte per character. All right. Let's go to the second program. This is where we get something new. All right. This program is identical to the one I just ran up to here. iostream, fstream, a namespace standard, fout, my unsigned short, the exact same number. Here's where it gets different. That we wrote out as characters. This we're going to write as binary. So I've got fout open. There's my path. Right. Then now here I've got iOS out. And then I've got a single line here. All right. This is something I've made a mistake on. It seems like 100 times. I'll put 2 bars there instead of 1. And I get errors that I don't understand. So remember, it only takes 1 bar. All right. Then iOS binary. I'm writing this out as binary or reading it in. Well, this one I'm writing out as binary. All right. And my if else is the same. Like I said, if you get in a habit, if else, if f out, then I got my two brackets, then else, see out, error. It's just, I mean, it really literally takes just a few seconds to do. Then this is your working area. All right. All right. I'm f out dot write. That's the same as before. Here's where things get a little different. All right. I'm writing this out in binary, and I will write this out as an unsigned short. So I have to cast this differently. Before I just output the text. It's um, just me outputting 62349. This time, right? I'm going to output this as I'm going to output this as an unsigned short. That's the address of the unsigned short num1. All right. I have to recast that. This is always a character pointer that's pointing to the beginning of this, right? When we've written things out to files before, it's always a character pointer to the beginning of whatever data type you're using. All right. Now we're casting it, reinterpret cast. We're casting it as an unsigned short. All right. This basically is just telling it, the location, all right, and telling it what to write it out as. The second part is the size. This is the size of an unsigned. So this is like it's pointing right here, and we're going to write out, all right, something this length. So f out write, basically the address and the casting, and then the size. So there's two things inside the write when you're dealing with binary. Then we're going to see out done when it's over, and if it didn't open, it's going to be an error. So I'm going to run this real quick. It's done. Now let's go look at these files. Okay, number 2. I open that up, and you're going to see two little things that look like wingdings, right? You don't know what these characters are. Some strange font or something like that. This is written in binary. You're not supposed to understand it. Okay, we wrote this out. Remember, the other one was just written out the 5 digits. This is what the 5 digits look like in binary. If I click off of this, let's go down and look at the size. I'm right-clicking on the file, going to Properties. Number 2, look, there's only 2 bytes in this. There was 5 bytes in the one where I wrote out to a text file. I wrote out in binary. This is only taking up 2 bytes. So it's a big space saver. I know, through 5 bytes to 2 bytes, big deal. But you got to remember the size of some of the things you're going to be dealing with as a programmer. Close this out. Again, the key point is the casting. If I just had wanted to output a character, I would just put the variable in here. But this is not a character. This is an unsigned short. All right. Then you got to remember the size. Size of, this is going to actually be a 2. I'm going to put this to the test. I'll have to redo this video if this doesn't work. I just put a 2 in there, all right, because I know it's 2 bytes. Let's run it. It's done. Going down to number 2. First, let's check the size by going to Properties. Yep, it's still 2 bytes. And if I open it up, it still should be those 2 little weird wingdings. Yep. So it did work. That's good. I didn't want to do this video a third time. All right, I've got one more program to show you on this video. All right, let's do this same thing with an array. All right, in this program, I'm going to make two arrays, size 10. Right. The first one I'm going to populate with counting numbers 1 through 10. Nothing special there. I've got an F stream. I'm going to just call file this time instead of F out. So here we go. File, I'm going to open. There's my path. I'm going to write out to it. This file does not exist yet. All right. And I'm going to write it out in binary. See how writing the data to a file. Okay. File.write. Reinterpret cast characters. All right. That's a char pointer. Here's the thing. Notice I don't have an address of numbers, because if you remember from last semester, when you're dealing with arrays, this is the pointer to the beginning of the array. So you don't have a pointer to a pointer. That won't work. So when you're dealing with arrays, you don't have to put the ampersand in here. So this is basically pointing to the beginning of the array. All right. It knows to write this down as integers. Write this in as integers. Okay. Size of numbers. Size of numbers, remember integers are 4 bytes. So this is going to be 40 bytes. For these 10 integers, it's going to take 40 bytes. So it's pointing to the beginning of the array and it's saying, okay, we're going to write 40 bytes. So it goes to numbers right here and knows to go 4, 8, 12, 16, 36, 40. So it wrote out 40 bytes out to the file. Then it closes the file. I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to file.open. Right? There's my file. It's going to be input this time. There's my in. And I'm going to input it in binary. Now reading the data back into memory. File.read instead of write. Right? There's my casting. Again, I don't have to put an ampersand here because we're dealing with an array. So in array numbers 2, it goes to like the beginning, and it's going to write the data out, size of numbers. So here's another thing that writing in binary is it helps. All right, this one line I didn't have to do a nested for loop. It read straight off of that file and read it into numbers 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, it wrote it straight into numbers 2. I could have put the size of numbers 2 here. I just put numbers. But it read 40 bytes from the file as integers. An integer, it's an integer, just integers. It read it into this array. Just one line. This could have been a for loop to put it in if you'd written in a different way, when you're writing into an array one at a time. Now this populated the whole array. All right, now this for loop here is just output. Now numbers 2 is fully populated. It's fully populated off of this one line. Okay, basically the address casting and then the size. So it's read it from the file. It's put it in numbers two. Now to output it to the screen, the monitor, I'm just going to use a for loop. I'm going to go to numbers 2 and output it. I'm going to put a space in between each one. So if I run this, there they are. All right. Remember, this populates this whole array here with just one line of code. Writing using binary like this, it's a lot more succinct. It's faster. It saves space. So it's something programmers prefer to do. Less coding. You just have to be careful when you're dealing with addresses and the size. Okay. All right, that's it. Finished in 15 minutes. Guys, there will be questions associated with this. Don't forget to do them.